Right, sorry about that, just adjusting the camera. Right, for anyone who's suddenly seen I've gone live and is thinking, oh my goodness, I should change the time of the normal class. No, I haven't. For various reasons, I have a technical problem with where I'm going to broadcast from tomorrow. So this is by way of an experiment to see if I can actually broadcast from the garden. But I've decided to combine that experiment with a little bit of deeper knowledge, I hope, about mindfulness and what it is. Because when you talk about mindfulness, the thing most people think of is meditation. And I have already explained, for those of you who've been watching my Qigong and mindfulness videos, you may very well be aware of my view that in many ways Qigong is a kind of walking meditation which can be very mindful. If you follow the blog posts that I sometimes write on my website, you might have seen a post yesterday that I wrote where I spoke about my mindful experience of washing up, and no, I'm not joking. It was actually an extremely pleasant experience. Okay, maybe it's making a virtue out of a necessity, but that doesn't matter. The thoughts that I've got today that I would like to share with you are kind of building on that, but if you haven't read that post, it doesn't really matter. Mindfulness is not a meditation. Mindfulness is a technique. It's a technique of being mindful, being aware of your thoughts and where your thoughts are going. Because very often your thoughts can be going off onto things that, for various reasons, are promoting feelings that you don't want. The most common examples I use is that you're worrying over something that happened in the past, or possibly worrying about something that is going to happen in the future. It could be how that will turn out. It could be that you're worrying about whether something will happen in the future. And generally, when your thoughts are going on to things like that, they are accompanied by feelings of, I actually can't do anything about it, this isn't good, I'm really worried about it, and in a way, it does actually just become a spiral of increasingly negative thoughts. So how does mindfulness help with that? Well, when you become aware of your thoughts and you get into the practice of being aware of your thoughts, you can just bring your thought back from that to something right here, right now, in this moment. Because the bottom line is that you only have control over how you feel in this moment now. That's why we often use the breath, because each breath can be categorized as a moment. If you've listened to my meditations, you will know I sometimes use the phrase, because right here, right now, nothing else matters except just this breath coming in, just this breath going out. But that doesn't mean that breathing is the only way that you can be mindful. I already demonstrated that, I hope, with the washing up mindfulness of yesterday. But today, what I'd like to tell you about is, again, this is not a personal experience. If you're anything like me and you've got the odd electronic gadget or two, like a phone or a Kindle, the chances are that you have a game or something that you play on it. And these games can actually be quite addictive. Well, hands up, I have a game that I play on my Kindle. This is going to reveal my secret guilty pleasure. I'm a huge fan of wrestling, WWE, TNA, the American style sports entertainment wrestling. If you saw how much sports entertainment wrestling we had stored on our hard drive to watch, you would think we were really sad. But hey, we're all different. Now, this game that I play that's linked with wrestling, it's called WWE Supercard. And it's a bit difficult to, I'm not even going to try and explain all the mechanics, but basically you tap on whatever card you want to use. And you can tap to speed up what's happening. Well, this morning, I decided for various reasons that I wasn't going to tap through, that I would only tap when it was completely necessary. So I found myself watching and appreciating things that otherwise I probably wouldn't have been aware of. And I was able to, spare a thought for the programmers, who really have done an absolutely excellent job in making the game visually very interesting. And let's be honest, it's the visual graphics and it's the visuality of these games that actually make them so flippin' addictive. So I was actually taking time to appreciate everything that the designers had built into the game. So now I really, really enjoy the game. I think it's good for a number of reasons. I'm old enough to want to make sure that I keep my brain active, because there is evidence that shows that using your brain actually helps reduce your risk of developing dementia. So, I'm a big fan of anything that actually gets me to use my brain. And this game is pretty tactical, so I do need to use my brain when I'm deciding, which card I'm going to pick. But I noticed something else as I was playing this game. This game isn't perfect. It has a glitch. And sometimes when you're in the middle of a game, quite often at a point where if it breaks down, you're going to have to start from the beginning, you will get a little warning which says network error, or it's waiting for the network to respond. And I noticed that when I wasn't tapping as much, I was just letting the game do its own thing. This actually happened a lot less. Now, there could be an interesting life metaphor there for, when you actually let things work and happen at their own pace, things tend to go easier, but I'll leave you to think about that one. That is, in a way, almost beside the point. But the fact is that I noticed that difference. I was aware of that difference. And, it led to some interesting thoughts. Well, maybe I should do this more often. It would be a lot less frustrating, because trust me, if you just got through to the end of a fairly complicated game and you get this wretched waiting on the network error and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to lose everything I've done, you're not exactly being mindfully aware, and I'm letting myself get frustrated, which really isn't terribly helpful. So for me, that is actually another way of being mindful of my thoughts, because I was watching those graphics, my thoughts weren't going off anywhere else. And when I discovered that my thoughts were going off somewhere else, I just led it back to focusing on the graphics again. And that really is the core of mindfulness. It's not about breathing. That's one way. It's not about meditation. That is simply another way of encouraging yourself to be mindful. Anything can be a mindful activity if you find it enjoyable, and if you find it easy to, while you're doing it, to notice your thoughts. And if your thoughts are drifting off to somewhere where you don't want them to go, you just gently lead your thoughts back to the task in hand. In my case, watching what was going on in the game. It could be enjoying yourself in the garden. It could be as simple as just being outside and going for a walk, where literally all you're doing is just noticing yourself putting one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other. It can even be stroking a cat or the dog, or that. There are innumerable ways that you can choose to be mindful, and it is a choice that you're making to be mindful. What I teach is techniques that will help you to develop a mindful approach to life. Okay, well, I said I was doing this as an experiment. This really isn't a full-blown video. So I'm going to bring this to a close now. Because I've got a technical issue with where I broadcast from, I'm not entirely sure what tomorrow will be. I am hoping, if the weather is good, that I will be able to be out here and I can set the camera up so that I can demonstrate Qigong and then do a meditation. So effectively, the class will run completely as it normally would. The only difference will be that I'll be broadcasting from the open air. If that the weather is bad and I can't be outside, then the chances are that tomorrow will just be meditation. And I have had a specific request from somebody who watches these videos if I could actually focus on mindfulness to relieve stress. Now, you might think, well, I've done that before. Yes, in a way I have. I have done mindfulness to help when you have an acute stressful situation. If you're using mindfulness to deal with something that is a chronic source of stress, as many people have, then it's a slightly different approach. So I will look forward to seeing, well, I won't see you, but I will hope that some of you will watch my video tomorrow, whatever I'm doing, and that you will enjoy it. Thank you very much. Namaste.